Okay, so you guys, I am going to do an experiment and make my own reverse speckle yarn. I was looking at it and I'm like, I can totally do that, but we'll see if I can totally do it because I've never tried it before. So this is 2 skeins of high twist BFL from Wool2Dye4. It has been soaking overnight because I thought I was going to film this yesterday and then I didn't. And then I also have this. It is like dishcloth cotton. It's sugar and cream. I think it's available pretty much anywhere in the world. I mean, maybe not sugar and cream, but some sort of thicker worsted weight dishcloth cotton. Those are 2 skeins that are going into this vinegar and water bath next for a different project. You'll see it later. And then I have a selection of dyes. You know how I am. I keep my dye stock, and I have my pans. I also have my mask right there because if I need to mix another color, I think I'm going to need to mix at least one. I want to make sure I protect my lungs. So let's dye some reverse speckled yarn, or at least try to. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just squeeze this out. I'm looking for a tie. There we go. This is sock weight. I have like tons, it's a lighter sock weight though, of yarn in my stash that is bare for dyeing. I have tons of Knit Picks yarn in there, and I have some Wool2Dye4, and then I have some like generic, I don't even know. You guys know I really like these steel like buffet pans for dyeing. I am gonna put the skein as open as I can in the pan. Because I want to be able to see the whole thing, and I'll show you just in case. Okay, so this is what it looks like in the pan. You can see at some point I didn't have enough water in here while it was cooking, but it's fine. So I'm gonna put just a tiny bit of water in the bottom, and then I'm gonna put this on the stove and let it heat up. At this point, I just want to put a few kind of dabs of color on the fiber. You'll see how I do it. They're totally random, and I picked out 3 or 4 different colors. Each place where I'm putting a little dot of color, I am actually prying the hank apart and like checking the back of it to make sure I got color all the way through and I don't get white in the middle of the hank. At this point, I am going to go ahead and add some water to the pan to make sure the yarn doesn't scorch. You don't need a lot, but you need to make sure it doesn't completely dry out. I mentioned I was going to preheat this yarn. That was so this dye would strike really quickly, and you really only need to keep it warm/hot for probably 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to use that dishcloth cotton and make some ties for the resist. That will create the speckle. So I doubled it. I wanted to make sure that I could tie a really tight knot without snapping the yarn. So now for the kind of exciting part. We're going to tie each of these little colored dots or dabs in kind of the middle of that little bundle, and I'm going to tie it fairly tight. This works like tie-dye, so it just is going to keep the next level of dye from penetrating into this color. So this yarn is in a water bath now that had about a tablespoon of vinegar added, and I am about to add the black dye. It is Dharma's True Black. About 10 minutes in, I went ahead and pulled off the top just to make sure that I still needed to give it more time. You can see that dye has not completely absorbed. I was actually a little nervous at that point, but no worries. Okay, so I turned this off and went to the orthodontist because it's been my experience that black strikes better if I let it cool completely in the water with the dye. And check it out. Can you believe that? I kind of can't. Okay, so we're gonna take it out and wring it and take one of these ties out. So I'm gonna be really, really careful because obviously I do not want to cut the yarn. Can you guys see? Yes. Probably should be using a smaller scissors that I know I can get in there and not. Okay. Let me see. There we go. Ready? Oh, there's one of the light blues. Check it out. Okay, let's do a different one.
So when I was tying up the second hank, I actually used a technique where I tied more of a figure eight just to keep the bundles a little bit smaller where the resist areas were. I had noticed on the first hank that when I opened them up, the centers of each of the color resists had a longer color spot, and I wanted to try to keep them a little bit more uniform. It did work better this way to keep them uniform also.